Hi, my name is Will Estrada. I'm the president of the Parental Rights Foundation, and you've caught me in a moment that's probably pretty relatable to you as a parent. Cleaning up after your kids because they forgot to put their toys away. You know, my wife and I have two kids, two boys, 10 and 5, and I want to talk to you about a priority for me as a parent, for you as a parent, for legislators around the country, and that is putting in the black and white of state code that parental rights are a fundamental right. In the past few decades, 15 states have already done this, and more are on the way. What do we mean by fundamental rights? Well, these are the highest level of rights protected under our United States Constitution. It's important to note, however, that they are not rights created by the government. Our founders talked about the laws of nature and of nature's God, or inalienable rights, in the Declaration of Independence. That's what fundamental rights of parents to direct the education, upbringing, and care of their children means. This was first established by the United States Supreme Court 100 years ago in 1923 in the case of Meyer versus Nebraska. 2 years later, 1925, in the case of Pierce versus Society of Sisters, the U.S. Supreme Court reaffirmed this, saying that the child is not the mere creature of the state. In 1972, in the case of Wisconsin versus Yoder, the U.S. Supreme Court again said this, saying that it's now established beyond debate that parental rights are an enduring American tradition. And as recently as 2000, in the case of Troxel versus Granville, the U.S. Supreme Court again reaffirmed that parental rights as a fundamental liberty interest are the oldest of these rights guaranteed by our Constitution. When we talk about protecting parental rights as a fundamental right in state code, that's exactly what we mean. Not establishing a new right, but taking something that predates government, protecting it in the black and white of a state's laws, which is what our elected officials are there to do.
To me, parental rights means having the freedom to raise and educate my children according to our family values. This is just as important whether you choose homeschool, private school, or public school as we do. A recent example of how we asserted our parental rights involved the SEL, or Social Emotional Learning curriculum, at my daughter's school. We reviewed all of the materials and determined that they were definitely pushing a social political agenda that conflicted with our values. We met with our daughter's principal to request that she be allowed to leave the classroom during the SEL lessons. She was definitely opposed to the idea, but thankfully we live in Virginia, where there is legislation that gives us the right as parents to insist. Therefore we did. She is allowed now to exit the classroom during the lessons, and also luckily the teacher supported us in this effort. But we fully support legislation throughout the states that will give all parents the right to make sure that they can raise and have their children educated according to their own values.
So parental rights are fundamental. What does that mean, and why is that legal standard so important? Well, first of all, legislatures have power to adopt laws, and for the most part, the laws they pass must only be rational. What does that mean? It means that the legislature doesn't have to do a lot of justification for why they impose certain restrictions. But where a fundamental right is concerned, strict scrutiny applies. What does that mean? It means that when a court is evaluating that law, that state statute, for whether it's valid, the state has to prove that it had a compelling or really important interest for passing the law in the first place, and that it carefully tailored the law to address the very specific problem it was trying to address. For the most part, state statutes don't have to pass that strict scrutiny level of review, but where fundamental rights like parental rights are concerned, it's very important that they be treated with strict scrutiny.